For folks who don't understand like how that even materialized in the first place, you have sort of an insider view on who Meghan Markle is. And the reason that she's relevant is for two reasons. One, because she really will not just leave and take the privacy she so desperately apparently wants.
Okay.
And she just won't take it. That's one reason. The other is that she is sort of emblematic of both a woke generation and an attention-seeking generation. She is kind of the TikTok generation, but kind of morphed into one human being.
That doesn't make sense.
And so when people look at her, there's some people in the United States still who are kind of warm to her claims of victimhood and this idea that she's being very emotionally open. And there are other people looking at her and like, this is the most bratty person I've ever seen in my entire life. But you have some actual personal experiences that led up to
I knew her a bit before she met Harry, and she seemed perfectly normal, albeit like most LA actresses I'd met. But she seemed fine, perfectly normal. And there was a weird series of events. One was the wedding, where she suddenly fell out spectacularly with her father, who we now know had brought her up on his own for quite a few years, actually.
Yeah, right.
And she sort of disowned him, and that all seemed a bit sort of brutal and weird because he was just a guy out of his depth, couldn't handle the media, he was being bothered by paparazzi. Eventually did a deal with one of them where he would pose for good pictures of himself, and that was it.
Women.
So that was all going on. And we were thinking, well, hang on, this is a bit weird. And then in the months and months after the wedding, you suddenly saw the pair of them morph from a beloved couple. I mean, they were. When they got married, it was a huge celebration in the UK. £32 million worth of taxpayer money was spent, and nobody begrudged them. She was the first biracial bride in the royal family. That was a big moment for a very multicultural country like the UK. And all the headlines were pretty euphoric, actually, contrary to the narrative they're now trying to make people in America think about what was happening.
Come on now, dog.
But then over the next few months, there's a series of, well, you could call them missteps, or you could call them classic examples of brazen woke hypocrisy. Two people wanting to position themselves, for example, as eco-warriors.
What do you mean by that?
We want you to all watch your carbon footprint. They would say this in speeches. And then they'd catch Elton John's private plane like a taxi service. Or she would preach about poverty in a tweet from their royal Twitter account on the same day she had a $500,000 baby shower in New York.
What?
Here, with a bunch of celebrities, and flew back on Amal Clooney's plane. And so this went on, and it was one after another. And because of the hypocrisy element, the British media in particular were very critical, very scathing, saying, hang on a second, you don't get all the palaces and the servants and the privileged life for this, right? You have to toe the line, you have to do the job. Fact. Which involves often quite dreary duty as a member of the royal family, but you get to be one of the biggest stars in the world on the global stage in return. She, in particular, didn't seem to understand this.
Are you sure about that?
She thought that actually being a member of the royal family was wearing a tiara, getting a fabulous wedding, and then doing what the hell you like. So they began to just do a load of stuff which annoyed people, and they got the criticism, in my estimation, they thoroughly deserved.
Well, duh.
And at that point, they developed this victim narrative, that they were terrible victims of this brutal, racist British media and the horrible British people who were all turning on them for no reason. But it really wasn't like that.
Okay.
And so over time, Harry's inbuilt hatred of the media, which goes back to when his mother died, and I knew his mother very well, that all began to blow up again, as did his resentment of his family and the fact that William, his older brother, is the heir to the throne and he isn't. So William will be king, Harry won't.
Here we go again.
And then you put it all together and then you get Megxit, where they leave the country, they leave the royal family, and they wanted to have their royal cake and eat it. They wanted to stay half in, half out, do the good stuff, get all the trinkets, make all the money out of it, but not have to do any of the duty. And that was where you get to the place of the kind of chasm between them as a royal renegade family and the monarchy and the British royal family left behind.
Wow.
And now you have them doing a Netflix series about their life, incredibly self-intrusive, the most gossipy royal book that's ever been published, including accounts of Harry's conversations with his father and his brother at Prince Philip's funeral service. I mean, quite extraordinary. And you just see a pair of people earning a ton of money purely by trading off trashing their family and trashing the institution of the monarchy, which afforded them their royal titles, which make them the money. And to your point in the question, they've come to kind of encapsulate that mentality of the woke brigade, this sense of entitlement, self-righteousness. We're right, you're wrong. We don't have to play by our own rules. Only you have to.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
And it's all pretty grubby and tawdry. And they've now ended up as a South Park, mockathon, which has got us all rolling in the aisles and probably reflects where they've now got themselves, which is they're a global laughingstock.
I got you, homie.
So one of the things that Prince Harry has been hanging his hat on in terms of his critique has been, as you mentioned, the media. And for Americans who don't follow the media over in Britain, I'm one of them. I didn't spend a lot of time with the British media, as evident from my obviously amazing interview with Andrew Neil, where I had no clue who he was.
So that was a f***ing lie.
Why don't you introduce us to sort of the British media scene? Because it is a very rough and tumble place in a way that I don't think that the American media is quite the same kind of beast.
I'm not so sure. I think what's different about America is you don't have the volume of national newspapers all concentrated in quite a small geographic space. So, you can drive through Texas in the time it would take you to drive from one end of the UK to the other, and you still have time to spare.
You serious?
So to put the size perspective out there, that's the difference. So you have state newspapers, you have city newspapers, town newspapers. You've got a few national papers, but not as many. We have like 12, 13 national newspapers all scrapping for the same 60-odd million inhabitants of the United Kingdom.
Okay.
So it's a bit more intense, I would say, is the main difference. I think when it comes to the royals, the media are the royals' best friend and their toughest critics. We're their best friend collectively, because without the media oxygen, this royal family and monarchy would go the same way of most other European monarchies.
Are you sure about that?
They would just disappear into oblivion. They need the support of the people. The people's support is reflected through the media. It's a connection between the three things: the public and the royal family and the media, and all three basically fuel each other.
Yeah, right.
So I felt that Harry's view of the media was completely clouded by the death of his mother. I completely understand that. I've always said that. His mother was killed by a drunk driver in a French tunnel, not by the paparazzi, who were more than 1,000 yards behind them when it happened. They didn't cause the accident. But his mother was constantly pursued by the paparazzi, and he saw this, and he blames the paparazzi for killing his mother, and therefore he blames the media, even though they weren't British paparazzi, actually. So he has this fixated hatred of the British media. Everything is the media's fault. And when you watch the interviews he gave with his book, it was almost comical.
What do you mean by that?
When they both went on Oprah Winfrey and accused the royal family directly of being racist. We all saw them do it. They basically said a member of the royal family expressed concern about the skin color of their baby. That's an allegation of racism. I mean, inarguably.
How? Hold on, bro. How?
And yet, 2 years later, Harry promoting his book, he didn't put it in the book, this incredible revelation, which caused so much damage. And he then says, well, we didn't say they were racist. It was the media, British tabloids. Completely deluded. Obviously, it was from him and his wife on global television. So there's a delusion there. I think he's not the brightest bulb in the tulip patch, Harry, to put it politely. I think she is very manipulative.
I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Meghan Markle is someone who's basically got rid of almost her entire family on her side, apart from her mother, her entire family on the father's side, including her father, which is incredibly sad. And now she's wrestled Harry away from his family.
Women.
So how happy they really are in this mansion in California when they have no connection now with any of their family, bar one or two people, I find it very hard to believe that makes anybody happy. So it's at one level, it's sad. Another level, it makes me quite angry, the damage they've caused to the monarchy.
Oh, Lord. Again.
I think most British people are sick and tired of them. The polling has them now below Prince Andrew, which I didn't think would be humanly possible. So, it's a mess. And you've got the coronation coming. It should be an enormous moment in British history because we haven't had a coronation in my lifetime. The Queen, of course, reigned for over 70 years.
Wow.
So it should be a moment of great celebration. But what's going to happen if these two are there with their Netflix cameras in tow? It's going to be just another part of the Meghan and Harry circus. So a lot of anger back home about this. Interesting to be in America again and feel the reaction to the South Park mockumentary.
Alrighty, so let's actually get to what Meghan Markle and Prince Harry actually said. Because, I mean, what difficult lives they lead. It is one of the saddest stories I've ever heard. I mean, a prince, grew up a prince, was shielded from his own idiocy for literally years. Remember, Prince Harry was a guy who just, back in 2005, dressed up in like a full-on Nazi uniform at a Halloween party.
Damn!
Right, so like Ralph Northam would just, never happened, right? It's pretty incredible how that guy is now Captain Woke. So that's exciting stuff.
Me personally, I wouldn't take this level of disrespect.
Repentance is possible, people. All you have to do is take your entire family and just toss them under the bus. And meanwhile, Meghan, what a victim. What a difficult life she has led. I can't speak enough about what a heroine she is. I mean, just the amount of heroism that she displayed by going on Oprah and ripping on her in-laws' family for fame and fortune. I mean, truly incredible stuff. It's tough. It's tough.
Is y'all right upstairs?
I mean, so many tough things have happened to Meghan Markle. Like one time, Kate Middleton taught her to curtsy, or Prince Harry taught her to curtsy right before she met the Queen. You know, it's just because she was an ignorant American, you see. And then she was ushered into the halls back. But then she saw the flaws in the royal family in a way no one else could.
Well, duh.
Because she'd experienced American-style racism, so she was shocked to see it in the halls of royalty. That's it. By the way, Netflix movie coming out in a year. Watch. Starring them, probably.
Shut up, bro.
Right? Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe she'll recast herself, but I don't know. Maybe she likes seeing herself on film. Who the hell knows? In any case, here she was explaining, you know, the Prince Harry taught her to curtsy. She was just a little down-home girl from America, and she came in, and she had to learn the ways of the royals, but only she was able to identify their deepest secret flaw.
Is y'all right upstairs?
Racism. Here we go, with Oprah.
Let's go.
Harry and I are in the car, and he says, okay, well, my grandmother's there, so you're going to meet her. Oh, great. I loved my grandmother. I used to take care of my grandmother. This is great. He goes, right, do you know how to curtsy?
We don't do that here.
What? He said, do you know how to curtsy? Now, I thought genuinely that was what happens outside.
Yeah.
I thought that was part of the fanfare. Or, I didn't think that's what happens inside. And I said, but it's your grandmother. He goes, it's the Queen.
What do you mean by that?
Wow.
And that was really the first moment that the penny dropped.
Oh my God. She never realized she was supposed to curtsy before the Queen. So that's, well, what a difficult, I mean, how difficult must that have been? To have to curtsy before the Queen of England? My God, how humiliating. You know, like every other human who curtsies before the Queen of England or bows before the Queen of England? Can't believe it. Just crazy. Crazy stuff.
That doesn't make sense.
And that's when the penny dropped and she was about to learn of the predations of the royals. And well, by the way, it's not all on Meghan Markle. Harry's the actual villain of this piece. Okay, Harry grew up with these people, and now he's just dumping all over his entire family. Harry is a bag of garbage. Harry is terrible.
Me personally, I wouldn't take this level of disrespect.
Harry was Captain, I'm going to dress up however I want to dress up. I'm going to go to Las Vegas and get naked and smoke pot on the basis of my royal heritage. And then he's like, and you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to take my entire family. I'm just going to drive up this bus over them, back up the bus over them, because my wife, who wants to be a famous actress and wasn't very good in Suits, now she wants it. So I'm going to go right along.
I don't like where this is going.
The real villain here is not even Meghan. Right? Meghan is whatever Meghan is. Harry is the one who's the villain. It's his family, right? So whatever I think of Meghan, I think twice as badly of Harry. Okay, so then Meghan Markle starts talking about how difficult, she starts talking about how racist everyone was. And she relates a conversation in which apparently somebody asked how dark her son's skin would be.
What?
Now, this would be an excellent time for Oprah, being the interviewer, to ask, okay, can you name a name? I mean, that would be if someone says something as overtly racist as, how dark is your son's skin going to be? First of all, what kind of stupid, like, I'm just going to say it. I don't believe that happened. I don't think that happened. Honest to God, I don't think it happened. The reason I don't think that happened is because no one says anything like that. That's a ridiculous question. How dark is your son's skin going to be? Like, beyond like the racism of it, the actual stupidity, like the human stupidity of having to ask that question. Do you not know what biracial children look like? Like, that's what? Because I don't believe this for a second, but here she is saying a thing I don't, plus maybe it's true and she's such a bad actress that I can't even tell that it's true. That's possible too. Here is Meghan Markle.
In those months when I was pregnant, all around this same time, so we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title.
Okay.
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
So that was a f***ing lie.
Cut away to Oprah looking all shocked. Yeah. And of course, she connects the fact that Harry, who is like 9th in line for the throne at this point, that Harry is not going to get the security and he's not going to get all this stuff. And again, I believe at this point, they'd already decided they wanted to move to America.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
That was going to be the basis for, it was all about skin color. Of course, it was all about the racism. Okay, so she continues along these lines, and then she says that she wanted to commit suicide, and the royal family would not get her the mental help that she required. Okay, now, again, I don't know the truth or falsehood of any of these statements. I do know that once you claim that you were suicidal, that you had suicidal ideation, then people generally should not question that. So I will assume that this is true. I also will assume that I have no idea what anybody else did around her because I don't think that she's a credible source about anything other than her own feelings. I think most people are credible sources on their own feelings, but people tend not to be credible sources when their self-interest is at stake. Here's Meghan Markle then trying to impute to the royal family a lack of care for her suicidal ideation, which is a hell of an accusation to make.
Yes, exactly.
Look, I was really ashamed to say it at the time and ashamed to have to admit it to Harry, especially, because I know how much loss he's suffered.
Women.
But I knew that if I didn't say it, that I would do it. And I just didn't want to be alive anymore.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
We don't care.
Okay, and then what she says is that she went to the institution and they were like, you can't get outside help because if you get outside help, then that is going to become a story in and of itself. Well, okay, first of all, Meghan Markle was a story from like the day that she joined the royal family because she started lecturing everybody inside the palace about race. I mean, she was in the tabloids every single day. So that's number one. Number two, if you think there aren't healthcare workers on staff at the palace, I have doubts.